It's happening. It is happening. Welcome back to TTP Sports, everyone. The first round of the Stanley Cup Playoffs are starting today. Flyers versus Montreal Canadiens. Get pumped. Get hyped. Run through a brick wall if you have to. This is going to be your series preview of the Philadelphia Flyers and the Montreal Canadiens in their first round matchup of the Stanley Cup Playoffs. Let's go, everyone. Flyers run to the cup starts right here. The journey to the cup starts right now. And for Montreal, gotta give them credit. They were the worst seed going into the round robin tournament, the qualifying round. There was arguments going on. Why is Montreal getting in there? Why is Chicago getting in there? Those teams were terrible. Why are these teams getting a chance to compete for possibly getting into the playoffs? And you got to give Montreal credit. They went up against the 5th-seeded Pittsburgh Penguins, and they beat them. They basically just hung around in every game, and just Pittsburgh was not able to shut them down. Pittsburgh was not able to take them out of the game, and Montreal just stayed there. And Carey Price, he's one of the best goaltenders in the league for a reason. He's going to show up in the playoffs. Hell, every goalie is going to try to show up in the playoffs. And Carey Price did that against Pittsburgh, but he didn't steal a series for them. But he was a major factor in them beating the Penguins. So you got to give Montreal credit. And you can't look at this team lightly just because they are the worst record going into the playoffs. Remember, back in 2010, Montreal was one of the worst teams to make the playoffs that year. And they made it all the way to the Stanley Cup, not the Stanley Cup final, the Eastern Conference Finals. I almost screwed up my words right there because the Flyers went to the finals in 2010. And we beat up on the Montreal Canadiens in the conference finals back in 2010. So this is kind of a rematch right here, if I do say so myself. Man, what a run this year. What a run this year. And the Flyers, this is probably the first time in a while for this team that they've actually had expectations going into the playoffs, because this is probably the first time since, 2012? Since the Flyers actually had a good product on the ice going into the playoffs? In 2018, 2016, those teams barely made the playoffs. There weren't any expectations for those teams. They were first-round exits by default. Dave Haxtell on the core, expecting way too much from the top six to produce in every single game. That series against Washington back in 2016, no one can score. Against the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2018, our goaltending was god-awful, and it was Sean Couturier on one leg trying to single-handedly take down the Penguins. It's not going to work like that. And the Flyers this year, completely different team. You got a different coaching staff. Alain Vigneault, Mike Yeo, Michel Therrien, a new GM, Chuck Fletcher. You got a new goaltender of the future, franchise goaltender, Carter Hart. Got a lot of big pieces on the team now. 4 lines you can roll out. You got Claude Giroux, you got your Couturiers, you got your Voraceks. But now you got Konechny, you got Kevin Hayes, Scott Lloyd getting some goals here in the round-robin tournament. And hey, you could look at the third line too. Derek Grant centering the third line. Nicolas Aube-Kubel, you could throw him on the third or the fourth. Nicolas Aube-Kubel, Tyler Pitlick, James Van Riemsdyk. He hasn't been playing in the top 6 at all. And who knows, he could possibly be a healthy scratch going into the playoffs. You just never know. Joel Farabee could be slotted in. Nate Thompson. Just a bunch of names. You could say Michael Raffl too, but he's going to be out for a little bit. And Michael Raffl, hey, once he comes back into the lineup, it's a really good top 4 forward lines right there. Don't forget the defenseman, Ivan Provorov, having a very great bounce back year. In regards to that's much thanks to Matt Niskanen coming to the team this year. And a lot of people did criticize that trade in the offseason because they were taking on some of Radko Gudas' salary during that trade, and people were questioning Chuck Fletcher, like, oh, God, what are you doing? But it turns out, hey, the trade worked out after all, because look what Matt Niskanen is doing for Ivan Provorov. And then you got the young defensive pairing, Travis Sanheim, Phil Myers. Phil Myers getting his first crack at the playoffs. Sanheim did play on the team when they've played the Penguins, so he is a little bit right there. And then you got the old-time veteran on the third pairing, Justin Braun. He's been to the Stanley Cup Finals before. Matt Niskanen also. He won the Stanley Cup with the Washington Capitals. These guys know what it takes to get far in the playoffs. And then you can also slot in a guy like Robert Haig, Shane Gostisbehere. Shane Gostisbehere played really good against Tampa Bay. Robert Haig has been pretty solid the entire season. The Flyers have good pieces all around the lineup, and like I said, you have deathbin goaltending too! Even though it's going to be Carter Hart's net. It's going to be his net. It's his net to lose. You have two capable goaltenders right now. Even though Brian Elliott did play against the Penguins in 2018, he was injured. He was playing injured. He was. So, you have two very capable goaltenders, because Brian Elliott this year, even though the numbers do not show it, he was a really good mentor for Carter Hart, and he won some games for the Flyers when they really needed to win some games this year, especially when Carter Hart was injured for a little bit right there. So the Flyers, they have pieces all around the lineup, and this is going to be an interesting series. You got the number 1 seeded Philadelphia Flyers. Oh my God, that's so nice to say. That rings in the ear. It's really nice to say. Just listen, the number 1 seed Philadelphia Flyers. Really nice to hear. I love it. I love it a lot. It's been forever since the Flyers came into the playoffs as the number 1 seed. And there's definitely going to be some people that say, oh, they don't deserve the number 1 seed because of the round robin, all that crap. Because I don't care. I don't care. The Flyers are the number 1 seed going into the playoffs. They're taking on the 12th seed, 8th seed, whatever you want to call it, the Montreal Canadiens, since they're doing the whole reseeding thing. Since Montreal was the 12th seed, they're now the 8th seed. So the Flyers, one thing for them, they cannot take this team lightly. Not whatsoever. And I do expect the coaching staff to make sure this team is ready to go. Game 1, when the puck drops at 8 p.m. And I'm thinking to myself in the back of my mind, because yesterday we had a game that went to 5 overtimes. And that game against Columbus and Tampa Bay forced the Carolina-Boston game to be moved to today. Carolina-Boston were supposed to play last night at 8 o'clock. But since that game went to 5 overtimes, the game started at 3, didn't end until like 9 o'clock. The Boston-Carolina game is being played right now as I speak. So hopefully there's no games that go into the 4th, 5th overtime today, because it's Carolina-Boston and then Islanders-Capitals before us. Because it's 11 o'clock this game, 3 o'clock Washington Islanders, and 8 o'clock Flyers. Oof. It's going to be an interesting day of hockey, I do say so myself. But going back to the series at hand, like I said, the Flyers got to be ready to go. Puck drop, 8 p.m. They have to be. You cannot take this team lightly. They were hanging around the entire series when they played the Penguins. That's one of the main reasons why they won, the main reasons why they were in so many games, because the Penguins just could not put them down early. They could not just take them out of the game. That's what the Flyers have to do. You got to be ready on puck drop. The Flyers are going to come out hot. Montreal's got to weather the storm, and the Flyers got to put pucks in the net. They got to score goals. They got to put Montreal down really early. You do not want this team hanging around in the game. And if the Flyers do give themselves a lead, you can't step off the gas. You got to keep going. You got to keep piling the goals on there. Got to keep doing it. Because you do not want this team hanging around throughout any game this entire series. Because that's going to be one of the reasons why Montreal would win a game, is because you let them hang around. And also another key for this series, if you're looking back at the round robin tournament, the Flyers' penalty kill was great. They only allowed 1 goal on the penalty kill. But the one thing that you can criticize them for, the Flyers didn't score any power play goals. That's a problem right there, and that's something that they need to fix, especially going into this series. Special teams are going to be very key, especially the power play. The power play needs to get going. The power play needs to start scoring goals, because that's going to be one of the major keys to winning this series. If you can score goals on the power play, because the Flyers are a great 5-on-5 team. They're a great team on the penalty kill. If they can start scoring goals on the power play, putting the Montreal Canadiens away, putting them down, you're going to win this series very easily if you can get that power play clicking. And that's one of the main reasons they need to do right there. And also, if you look back at the round robin too, a lot of the goals were scored by a lot of depth guys. Scott Laughton getting some goals on the board, getting 3-4 goals. Nicolas Aube-Kubel with a 2-0 performance. Nate Thompson was getting a goal. Michael Raffl went off against the Boston Bruins. You really didn't see anyone from the top 6, really, besides a guy like Scott Laughton chipping in for some points and some goals right there. This is going to be a series for them, too, the top 6 guys, to start getting on the board. It's going to be very important because I feel like the first round, maybe you can argue the second round. These are the rounds where your top 6 guys really come in handy. Like you're going up against a very weak opponent. This is where your top 6 can really showcase what they can do. And I feel like when depth really comes into play is when you get deeper into the playoffs, round 3, the Stanley Cup Finals. Maybe you can also factor in round 2 as well. That's when your depth is going to come in handy. But hey, if the depth wants to continue to score, let it happen. But I really want the top guys to start showcasing some stuff, meaning Claude Giroux, Sean Couturier, Jake Voracek, Travis Konechny, Kevin Hayes. Even though Kevin Hayes has been really good in the round robin as well, I want him to start scoring some goals. Same thing with Travis Konechny. He's got some assists in the round robin, but I want him to start scoring some goals. And the way the defense played during the round robin tournament, just continue to do what you're doing. Guys like Travis Sanheim, Phil Myers getting up on the rush, chipping in for some points. Ivan Provorov and Matt Niskanen just being the shutdown defensive pair that they are. And Justin Braun, Robert Hagg, or if you want to contribute, Shane Gostisbehere. Let them continue doing what they're doing. If you have Shane Gostisbehere in there, you're going to have Justin Braun being that stay-home defenseman, so Shane Gostisbehere can possibly show some confidence to get up on the rush. Maybe chip in for some points because he was very good in the game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And Carter Hart, just continue being Carter Hart. This is going to be his first playoffs in his young career, and it's probably going to be the first of many. This is going to be very important for him. I know a lot of people want to credit want to rake on him because of his splits between the home and the road, but home and road splits don't matter right now because, one, you're playing in a hub city, there's no fans. The only way you're qualified as a home team is because of the home jersey. The different jerseys qualify you what team you are. I don't think that's going to phase Carter Hart at all. You're playing in an arena, there's no fans. A little bit of that pressure is gone, but there's still a lot of pressure because it's the Stanley Cup Playoffs. And the way Carter Hart played in the 2 starts that he got in the round-robin tournament, if he can play like that, if he plays like that throughout the entire playoffs, the rest of the NHL has something coming for them. The Flyers could be the Flyers are a very dangerous team, but if Carter Hart continues to play like he did in the round robin, good luck NHL. Good luck the rest of the teams because Carter Hart is coming to steal something from you. I am pumped up. I am very pumped up. I got the rally towel right here. I'm probably going to be wearing one of my Flyers jerseys for Game 1. It's going to be a great series indeed. Great series indeed. I am very pumped. And like I said, people, get prepared. Do whatever you have to do to get prepared, pumped up for this game. Run through some brick walls if you had to. Order some wings. Get some nachos. Get some alcohol in your system. Do whatever you have to do to get pumped up for Flyers and Canadiens 8 p.m. Game 1 of this first round of the Stanley Cup Playoffs. As for series predictions, I hate doing predictions for hockey just because hockey is so very unpredictable. You can really go right to last year's playoffs. Everyone's bracket was destroyed last year because all the wildcard teams made it to the second round and all the first place teams were kicked out of the first round of the playoffs. And then you have a team like the St. Louis Blues who were in last place halfway through the season, and then they work their way up and they win the Stanley Cup. Hockey is just completely unpredictable. But maybe I do give a series prediction for this. I'm going to knock on wood, so I'm going to say the Flyers. I think the Canadiens do get at least one game, but I'm going to say the Flyers take down the Canadiens in 5 games. Knock on wood. Let's go. Let's go, Flyers. Let's beat up on the Canadiens. Step on the gas. Take them down early. So, what are your thoughts on the Flyers playoff series, round 1 against the Montreal Canadiens? Comment your thoughts, comment your predictions, comment your keys to this series. What are your thoughts on what the team has to do? So don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section. Don't forget to drop a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I will see you next time. Let's go, Flyers.